Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See what I'm saying? On-chain revolution. Done this. Phone.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the On-Chain Hour, and this weekend was awesome. We do have the end of the government shutdown. It'll officially be over tomorrow, which means we'll get CPI and PPI this week on the 13th, which is Thursday, so that is exciting. But we'll also get an insane amount of ETFs. We're hearing between 10 and 30 ETFs by the end of this year. Some of them could be some more Solana ones. Some of them could be more Litecoin. But I'm actually hoping to see some XRP. I'm hoping to see some other ETFs kind of hit for the first time. I think this is going to be very, very good for our ecosystem because now we're going to be creating new wealth effects for the stock market because these guys are going to be buying these and holding for the long term. That's one thing about the stock guys is a lot of them are holders. They're not these weak-handed people, which means that we're going to see billions and billions of inflows happening to a lot of different ETFs. So that is going to be massive. And that's kind of the biggest thing about the government shutdown for me was we were supposed to see a lot of these ETFs in October. We did not, but now we should be expecting to see them by the end of November and early December. A lot of things happening in the space right now. You are seeing Trump basically come out and say, hey, we're going to give $2,000 payments to Americans from the tariffs. And he's saying that mainly because of the fact that the Supreme Court might be saying that what he did was illegal when it comes to tariffs, and he didn't have the power to do that without going through Congress. But he says, I'm going to give all Americans $2,000. I mean, how great would that be if we all get $2,000, potentially even more than that? Because with this new medical plan that he wants to give people the money instead of giving all this money to the healthcare providers and these big companies for Obamacare. He basically just wants to give the American people the money, and they can do what they please with it. So we might be seeing a lot of money come into Americans' hands over the course of the next year or so, which means a lot of that could end up in crypto. We did see that happen in 2021 when everyone had extra money, me included. I think I bought Polkadot with my stimulus check. That ended up being okay because it did go to $50. But I'm really excited. I think the next six months are gonna be really, really big. If you watched the show before, you know that I'm in the sell in May, go away area where I think Bitcoin's going to top out, potentially in April or early May, and then potentially have a slowdown summer, and then we pick back up in September for that double top feeling. I do think Bitcoin's going to hit numbers that people are going to be shocked about, and but that's all going to come in due time. I think we're about to see some explosion when it comes to crypto, which has been left behind by the stock market and these other entities or gold rocks, right? So gold has had its run. It's time for Bitcoin to have its. But without further ado, let's get the show started. I'm bringing my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up,
man? Huge weekend. Bitcoin ran yesterday from like 102 to about almost 107. I think 106.7 was the high yesterday. It did have a little bit of a pullback today. We're sitting around 104.866. But how are you feeling about everything right now?
Yeah, I still think we're going through that healing process, right? I agree with Jeff basically saying, hey, look, we need about 5 days of consistently being over. I think at the time it was 115 or something like that he said. We obviously have pulled back pretty significantly since then. But these little wins over the weekend, that's great and everything. But I do still like we're going through that healing process, and that might take the next 2 weeks and heading into Thanksgiving, right? Just back and forth type of situation. Eventually we will heal from that. The space always heals and recovers, but I do think we still got about 2 weeks, and I'm okay. I'm not like getting overexcited on some run ups or getting overly depressed necessarily whenever the market pulls back, because I just know that's what we're going through.
Yeah, for sure. And we did see on Friday some dinosaur coins really starting to move up, liquidity coming. People are saying though, it was the Zcash traders who were in Zcash for a long time. They were taking profit and putting that into a lot of these dinosaur coins like Filecoin and ICP and all these coins from last cycle and beyond that started doing really well on Friday and Saturday. They did have a pullback today. A lot of them did after traders kind of making their money. But do you see that as potential, something exciting going forward that some of these dinosaur coins were pumping?
I think so. For the people that are paying attention, and I think you have to be in the space to kind of really start noticing that, right? So
Yeah.
we go over crypto bubbles, we go over,
Mhm.
all types of the different aspects of the space. So, but to me, it is letting me think that people are preparing. Just because we have maybe 2 weeks of healing doesn't mean that some of the smart money and larger people, like in terms of size, what they do with size, right, aren't prepping for kind of like a group, like ascension, I guess you could say, right? So getting into some of these tokens that either have a potential of having an ETF or have been around and been proven. And it's kind of weird the way our space works with those early tokens. It's almost like you zoom out and they slowly just appreciate, like with the rest of the space, right? Whether that's Bitcoin Cash, whether that's Ethereum Classic, those kind of weird ones that are like you wouldn't think would be a smart investment in, but they do appreciate slowly over time. And so Litecoin, stuff like that. Now some of them potentially have like an ETF maybe in the works and stuff like that. So I think those are the two possibilities right now, but both are bullish.
Yeah, for sure. How would you handle a bull run that is very rotational? Meaning, let's just say we start with privacy, we end up going to older dinosaur coins, and then we get into this next sector. We did see a pop up in these other ones, but maybe 2 or 3 sectors popping at a time. How would you personally handle something like that? And would you be ready? And how would you catch which is going to be next? What's the next cycle transfer?
Yeah. So I think if you are, your mind is clear and you're good at catching patterns, I think that's something you can definitely take advantage of. Privacy didn't just pop out of nowhere, by the way, in terms of the meta energy. It kind of started in October-ish, but it was just kind of, just talked about a little bit of, maybe some projects here and there, and then I feel like the Zcash kind of hitting that $700 mark, right, was kind of almost peak. Maybe there's still more if the total market goes up. Maybe there's like another peak. It gets higher than that, but you can tell by different, like basically like the safer asset in that meta, like how it performs, and then you go all the way on the other end of the risk curve and see what they're doing with that meta. And so for example, for that is Pump Fund. And then so Zcash was thriving and Pump Fund's churning out these privacy meme coins, 99% of them going to zero because they're just meme coins, right? But it's all kind of based on like the Zcash meta, or Monero now getting some love and stuff like that. So that, I think those two things hitting at the same time means that we're probably like close to that toppy area of that meta for the time being. And so yeah, but can you catch that in October, just as Zcash had slowly started climbing? You're talking about at the end of September, I think it was around $50. You start stair stepping that slowly, and then you get to like, oh wow, we're sitting at like 200 now in October. How is this a thing? Is this happening? Zcash has been around forever. What's, and now privacy is being a part of the discussion. I think if you're good and catching patterns and stuff, you could catch that in October. I think if you had inside information or some sort of like, just really, really in the know, maybe you catch that in September. But yeah, so I think it's definitely an opportunity for people that can see the pattern recognition, and that happens with every meta, right? X402 is kind of just a little bit kind of came out of nowhere, but still, like they all have a certain buildup of pattern recognition, I think.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess my next question for you is, does this continue for privacy? Obviously, we've seen big pullback on going Friday into Saturday, but yesterday it started running again. A lot of the privacy coins, and even the X402, we saw a pullback about a week and a half ago, and now there's a lot of them are start pumping again. Are these two sectors going to pump maybe for a while, or do you think that potentially we're seeing the end of that?
So X402 different game, I think.
Yeah.
And privacy too. The one of the big reasons privacy in the past was suppressed was because people were afraid that the regulators and the world governments would really strike it down, because they feel like that's where you can't track money being made and things like that, right? Now with this administration and the US trying to lead the way and being more friendly to the space, I think that opened up that whole meta to be more aggressive. So I think that there's still room for both, really. The payment side of things, maybe on the next round of that X402, it's just more of like a truly like serious type of market, because we've gotten a chance to interview actual infrastructure builders and Corbits and people that don't have a token necessarily, but are building the tech of the future, the marketplaces of these agentic marketplaces, basically. So yeah, I think there's going to be an opportunity there, but maybe not so much on the meme side of things, but meme, that whole area, it's a good indicator of telling you, okay, are we getting close to that kind of top of some of these true utility coins, like for the Zcash situation as well?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. All right, let's get into today's number one topic today is Bitcoin catalyst alert. Government reopening trigger a massive crypto breakout rally. So the Senate will reopen the government on September 11th. On November 11th, sorry, and vote on a new crypto bill the same day. So this is potentially going to be happening tomorrow. Potentially might see a crypto bill as well. So that'll be also something that's being voted upon as the government reopens, because we do know that this was something that was right before the shutdown started, and now they're going to continue this as well. So how do you feel about this government now just kind of reopening, and is this the catalyst that could send Bitcoins back to all-time highs?
Yeah, so I do think that this is going to give a more optimistic outlook, right? Is at the end of the day, if we're rising up or trying to get things going in terms of liquidity into the space and all these things, like the government being closed is not going to help that in any way,
Yeah.
right? And then there's just like a dark cloud with the sentiment as well with that. And so I think it's going to be a part of, this catalyst that can get us back to aggressive to the upside. But again, just because, let's say they open tomorrow, we might see some like a little bit of burst of energy. But it's what does it take to heal what we went through as a space on October 10th, and to what extent did we get hit with those liquidations as a space? And I think it was significant. It was very significant, right? And to the point to where it almost seems like where there's money to be extracted or withdrawn, it's happening in most cases, right? You're not seeing a lot of like holding of much, and people are playing leverage, because again, and this is where leverage is kind of the double, the two-sided, what is it called, the
Double-edged sword.
Yes, there you go. Double-edged sword. Is that like you get hurt by leverage, but then like liquidity and capital availability is shrunk a ton. But then for retail users and maybe some institutions, they're just kind of like, okay, well, this is where I can kind of magnify my my play a bit. So they're going to use leverage still, because now they almost feel like they need it more. You know what I mean? So I think that's where it could be dangerous, and we'll see if they get more responsible in terms of that. Because look, I mean, if we can have some positive things happening like a domino effect heading into December, we could have, some sort of positive Santa rally. Maybe not anything super aggressive, but we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. And we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from Thanksgiving, so we're heading there. We're definitely heading. We're running out of time here. Bitcoin kind of start picking up here, so we kind of get bullish going into the Santa rally for sure. President Trump announced a $2,000 payment to most Americans funded by U.S. tariff revenues. In a Truth Social post, he said the U.S. is collecting trillions of dollars in tariffs and would be giving that back to the people. And then you had Scott Bessent come out and he's like, it's a part of the plan. Right? So he had to he's always taking Trump's words and just has to fix him a little bit, right? But Trump said this is one of the things that he plans to do with tariff money if the Supreme Court doesn't nix the power that he put in place of this emergency tariffs. And potentially, he went around Congress because normally you have to go to Congress with this, but they still can. But he's trying to use this to kind of push the tariffs in. How do you feel about this? And do you think this is something real or just a political stunt here?
Part of me feels like it's a political stunt just because I feel like he kind of pulled it out of his back pocket and just to kind of say, hey, to tease as a carrot. I mean, they've mentioned doing a stimulus or some sort, right? I mean, he was a big part of the stimulus that came out in 2021. He wanted his face on the checks, remember? Or whatever, his signature on them. And so if it's possible to where, it's actually possible, I think they'll do it. But I will say the Scott Bessent thing is not encouraging. That he kind of came out and was hesitant about that. But I just want, if they're going to do that, I think they got to put more commitment to it, right? And say, okay, this is when we're looking to do that or something, right? Because if you just keep dangling the carrot, eventually, people don't care about the carrot.
Yeah. And the big beautiful bill is supposed to really help a lot of Americans as well. Apparently, tax time when next year when people start doing the taxes, they're going to get almost double what they got back last year because of the big beautiful bill. Do you think that potentially that could be something of a catalyst going into the early days of next year? Because a lot of people follow, January and they get it in February. So we could see a push up when people are getting, let's just say they got $2,000 back last year, and now they're potentially going to be getting $4,000 back when it comes to, your everyday 9 to 5 people getting a little extra.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be great, right? And then you talk about some of the specific groups, a little bit of the, what is it, the service industry and stuff like that get some tax breaks and things like that. Let's see how much it can inject energy into the economy, though, because that was one of the things that they really were high about. They were saying, oh, this is going to really inject energy into the economy and et cetera, et cetera. So if these things are starting to roll out, and then we go into quantitative easing, as that's supposed to, tightening is supposed to stop December 1st, there could be this cascade effect, right? But I'm tired of saying could be, would be, or is going to, possibility. I need to feel it, right? And I think we haven't felt anything significant yet. So once that starts to happen, I think people will be happy. But until then, it's kind of status quo.
Yeah, 100%. Moving along, so we should get the CPI and PPI this week. The release, the scheduled CPI is going to be November 13th. And the PPI will be November 14th. So that is Thursday and Friday of this week. This should actually be something. Wait, is that Thursday? 10th, 11th, 12th? Yeah, Thursday. So this should actually be really good because I feel like inflation is down. Trump is kind of saying that we have the lowest inflation that he's ever seen. I don't know where he's getting his data from, but that data should be going into what Jerome Powell sees. So, and Jerome Powell did say potentially there is going to be no cut in December. This should actually start baking in that cut. Is this something to be bullish about? Actually, finally getting some data points on time.
It depends on the data, right? And so if it's good data, yeah, that'd be great. And I do think we need more clarity, though. So this could be a good thing. And, the Fed won't be kind of like, well, kind of just like juggling act again. And guarantee comes out and says, the job of the Fed is to curb inflation and to watch the unemployment. That's exactly what he says every time when he first comes out, and he's going to say it again. That should be a Polymarket thing. Is he going to say this the next time he comes out? Anyways,
it's going to win. I mean, 100%.
Or like if you do like a super good odds if he won't say it once or something like that. But anyways, yeah. So the schedule, coming back for release and all those things, I think this gets things back on track as well. Really just hoping that the government opens back up and things start to flow again, right? And I really hope that the Fed does what they say they're going to do in terms of, quantitative tightening stopping December 1st. And
that's already in the books. Yeah, that's
guaranteed. And so then what does it look like after that point, right? And was it just kind of like a strategy for them to scare the markets and say, it's not guaranteed for a cut in December, crash the markets a bit, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things relating to CPI, the Fed, and stuff like that. I just wish kind of would be more aligned with what we want, and that's quantitative easing, and you don't always get that, right?
Yeah. Polymarket is basically saying that it's still baked in, kind of 71% chance of 71%, 3% chance of a 50 basis point cut, but 74% chance of a cut in general. But so they're still saying we're going to get a cut in December. The Market Watch, you are seeing a ton of Fed governors speaking this week. I mean, I guess this is the first time that they're allowed to speak in a while, but we got Fed Chairman Barr tomorrow, and then we have John Williams, Anna Paulson from the Philly Fed, Chris Waller. This is somebody they're saying is going to be the potentially next Fed. So I think Wednesday at 10:20 is going to be kind of big when it comes to markets, but ton of Fed speak, dude. I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be about, but I haven't seen this much Fed speak in a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're becoming more present right now. Speaking and things like that. You don't have an idea of why you think that is. Do you think it's people?
Well, the government shut down. They haven't been able to really speak, and I think now that they're
get caught up, get the people caught up.
Yeah,
kind of situation.
Yeah, because everyone wants to hear what each Fed, because obviously every city has their own Fed person, right? Who does so if inflation's high here or if it's high there, it's just the median what we get in the CPI. So these people actually come out and speak to what is happening in their personal jurisdiction. So. All right, I'm getting to some crypto stuff for the first time here. So Coinbase just launched a full token offering platform, their own launchpad. Projects can sell their tokens directly to users before listing payments are done in USDC. One token offering will be held monthly with an algorithm allocating tokens among registered investors. Bidding will occur over a week and USD coin for transactions. So Coinbase launching their professional launchpad here, and the first token to launch will be Monad. So if you didn't get an allocation to the airdrop, you'll be able to purchase some via Coinbase, but it's going to work as like a pre-sale. Coinbase getting in the pre-sale game.
I like it because I feel like they know that they have a lot of pressure to make sure that this goes smooth.
Yeah.
And it could start to set a standard. TradFi wants something that is going to be not necessarily fair, but not manipulated, right? In the sense of like, sometimes with these ICO or IPO things, with the dev.fund and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's absolutely horrible experience for people that feel like they're getting in early for a project, and it's horrible, right? Mm-hmm. So there needs to be a better standard of launching serious coins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than someone taking full control of their coin and launching it with a contract and, doing pre-sale manually every step of the way, that can be okay. But that's not how a lot of these are happening. And so with Coinbase taking the lead, they know their brand is on the line, right? And so for them to kind of start to set a standard of serious companies and serious blockchains or whatever to go through this period this experience of launching their coin that serious investors can get into and not get wrecked off the launch itself, right? I mean, when people get into like IPOs in the stock market, they don't experience that kind of stuff. In fact, it's, if anything, they experience up. You know what I mean? They experience like, wow, this is like, that was a great opportunity. There's been a lot of situations in crypto to where people are getting wrecked off of launches, you know, and it shouldn't be that way. I'm not saying that they should have instant gratification to the upside. What I am saying is there should at least be stability or some benefit from, you know, putting your money and investing into a serious project. And so let's see what Coinbase does with this, and let's see if this maybe starts to be a standard that the industry looks for.
Yeah, 100%. But you know, there has been some, you know, ICO or IPOs on the stock market that have just down only, because what happens is when you go public, it unlocks a lot of coins for the CEO, for the team, right? And they all
Shares.
feel like that's kind of their shares, coins, whatever. It unlocks a lot of their shares, and they're able to go on the stock market and actually sell down. So you do see a lot of sell pressure in the first couple of weeks of an IPO. But to your point, you do see some IPOs that do really well. For instance, like I think it was USDC's parent company Circle.
Yeah.
They ran for like 3-4 days straight before any type of pullback. So yeah, so we'll kind of see what happens with that. But you know, you do open up team tokens, which hopefully Coinbase can come out and say something like, hey, we're not going to allow, you know, if your team's going to do like a 30% team drop, then we're not going to allow that type of stuff.
Yeah, and you know, so to your point, you know, that does happen, but you know, they're definitely frowned upon, and you know, they now they have a target on their back in TradFi, right? Over here, it's kind of like, oh, that sucks, you know, people sold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, but hey, that doesn't mean that like the standard doesn't get better. It's going to get better with time, and I think this could be like a good first step.
100%. All right, this was really interesting. This is something I saw on Saturday. A Columbia University study found that up to 60% of Polymarket's trading volume may come from wash trading, raising concerns about artificial activity in prediction markets. Wash trading inflates volume. Inflates volume activity and manipulates price. Traders do it to earn rewards, boost liquidity, or influence sentiment, often misleading real users and distorting market signals. So I don't know who paid for this, because a lot of times, like, you would go to these universities and you pay for these type of studies. This isn't just something that like Columbia University students are like, let's go check out the volume on Polymarket and see if it's real or not. This is actually, to me, this seems like a coordinated attack almost. How do you feel about this? And potentially, if this is true, how does that affect Polymarket going forward?
I mean, like, so first, I don't know if I would call it a coordinated attack, but yeah, it's probably the industry that is worried about them, you know, from Web 2 is wanting to put out their dirty laundry, right? And so that's the perfect place to do it too, is, you know, Ivy League research department, right? Of whatever that is, like internet data or whatever they went to. But in terms of wash trading, like, that's just like so many companies do wash trading, so many companies do all types of ways of getting around it. And so, you know, does this make Polymarket look bad? A little bit, but I think they're still going to truck on because they got so much like investment and support from, you know, Web3 and a lot of just the Web2 world too, that was really into the election last year, right? And I mean, Polymarket was spot on with the electoral vote. Election, right? And so, anyways, do I think they're going to continually get attacked? Probably. Or continually get, you know, their dirty laundry. I'm sure they're going to keep looking for it, because you have to remember there's a sports betting and kind of that area of Web 2 that has been making billions of dollars, that is afraid now they're going to lose a lot of their market share to Polymarket, which they will. And so they're trying to figure out how we can, you know, damage them in any way, and you know, where can we continually go strong. So there's going to be a battle continually with those two kind of sectors. And Polymarket's like already got to deal with NHL, right? So who's probably shaking in their boots? DraftKings,
FanDuel.
FanDuel.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why I said a coordinated attack, right? It seemed that way. But so one thing we have in crypto, we have this thing called market makers. Some we call market makers evil. Some call them, watch traders, because at the end of the day, they're just trying to make sure that the token has volume, that there's liquidity in the markets and stuff like that. It does feel like Polymarket has taken that a little bit, and maybe they've hired some market makers type of thing. So from your perspective, market makers, are they watch traders technically?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess like wash trading for the most part, people feel like that's directly from like the company or the founders themselves, right?
Yeah.
Market makers are a service to keep the market stabilized whenever there's extreme volatility, but obviously they do it continually, right? Sometimes it's just to keep the markets looking alive too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so there's more of a specific job in market for that, right? So it's a professional way of wash trading, I guess you could say, but also catching knives and all that type of stuff, right? Whenever there's a volatility to the downside, we saw that issue happen on October 10th. So when you don't have market makers have access to what they're supposed to do, you have something like October 10th happen with Binance. To where you have these huge red candles that just strike down like lightning and go down, 200, 300, 400%, right? And the market makers are supposed to catch that and make it more stabilized.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. They're there for a reason. How much do you think this is airdrop hunting as well? Do you think a lot of this watch trading is just maybe potential people trying to get? Because I mean, they came out and they said they're gonna have a token, and that gets people excited. And maybe they'll make some trades that they're not worried about losing, or maybe take both sides of the trade, for instance, and so that way they can't lose, right? And then since they just pay a little fee, and then potentially that goes into the airdrop.
Could be. It depends on what they considered wash trading, right? If it's just a specific address that's tied back to Polymarket, or if it's just like any addresses that are just constantly buying back and forth and it doesn't make sense, then definitely, I would say that has something to do with farming the points for airdrop, right? That second option.
Yep. All right, move along here. Michael Saylor bought more crypto today, bought more Bitcoin. He said, I bought 487 Bitcoin worth $49 million. They now hold 600,041 and then 692. So insane that they have this much. They are buying very small amounts because they cannot get loans. This seems to be just like the monthly profit that they dump into a weekly profit. I don't know how much they make on a weekly basis, but Michael Saylor is still buying. He's one of the few companies that are still buying. Metaplanet kind of stopped buying. SharkLink kind of stopped buying Ethereum. There's rumors that they were sending Ethereum to exchanges to cash out a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's one of those things where Michael Saylor is still buying.
Do you think if he stops buying, then the market's in big trouble? Because they're going to notice it and they're going to be like, he's not buying anymore. And that's why he has to always continually buy.
I do. I think that like he's very bullish on Bitcoin, right? He thinks that we're going to hit 250,000. It's kind of by the end of the year. So for him, he's just getting in every penny he possibly can, right? If you're saying right now that you could 2-3x your entire money, where your 49 million turns into 100 million, maybe that's why. Maybe he's thinking, no, we're undervalued here. We're going to hit 200K in the next 45 days, and we've seen Bitcoin do that before. It's not anything new to Bitcoin. But what do you think about that scenario where he's just like, every dollar is $2 as long as I put it in Bitcoin?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think he knows that if he stops buying Bitcoin, people are going to start asking him, why are you not buying right now? And then also he really believes in it, and he thinks that any money that goes into it is a good investment, right? But probably more the first one, because I guarantee you there's times where he probably feels like, I just want to take a break a little bit here, but can't. Gotta find some couch change.
Oh man, yeah, I agree. All right. James Wynn was liquidated 12 times in 12 hours, yet he's still shorting Bitcoin. He's tweeted today, I'm all in. He's selling his couches, he's selling his refrigerator, he's selling his dishwasher. he's all in right now to go short on Bitcoin with his target being 92,000 or 72,000. I don't know how you have that big of a target, but anyway, this is the tweet. I'm going to be completely and utterly honest here. And this is the God's honest truth. I have sold my entire crypto portfolio, excluding my long-term Bitcoin. So he didn't sell his entire crypto portfolio. And then in the past few hours, I've deployed all stables, thrown in the top of my short position. So he did buy at like 106 today to short it down. And if he says if I go bust, it's fine. I'll take my Bitcoin spot, cold storage, delete my X account, and live off my real estate and other passive incomes. Still drive off into the sunset with my wife and 4 kids. James Wynn here. What do you think, man? He's all in on the short position.
Well, he also said, however, if he's right, he wants people to apologize to him publicly. I mean, this is pretty textbook James Wynn at this moment of his the phase that he's in right now, right? I don't know if there's another phase or not, but I don't know, how much money he has or how much real estate he has. I imagine he probably, did something smart whenever he got that 32 million that he made from Pepe, is what the claim was. But I kind of wish Bitcoin had like a huge green candle to like 120 right now. You know what I mean? So it's not like, I don't want to say I'm rooting against him, but I mean,
I'm 100% rooting against him.
I
want him to lose so bad
to go up. Yeah,
he's the main character of the cycle. And every main character of the cycle has eventually failed, right? I mean, we talked about earlier. The main character of 2020 was, Ben Armstrong, right? Like he was out there, he was yelling, "Stand back, Fried," and all this stuff. Maybe that was 2022, and he had one of the most historic down events ever, right? He was in a mental institution. We've seen that go, with so many main characters. Anselm, he's the new Jim Cramer. Right. Anytime he comes out and he says anything, it's like do the opposite. And now we have James Wynn, who's been the main character of 2025. And this could be the downfall. This could be the end of James Wynn.
It could be, but it could be a healing for the space if, we do kind of get back on track. I feel like our space needs a healing and needed a healing anyways, even before the October 10th situation. So maybe this was like just what we need for now until things get, more consistent and steady. And, whether that means like, we go back up, James Wynn gets liquidated, he deletes his X account, which I don't think he's going to do that, by the way.
No, there's no way. He paid for his 400,000 followers, right? Like that by all of his, with that type of account, he can make, hundreds of $1,000s a month, just by tweeting different things. I'm not saying legally. I'm just saying that he could just tweet this token out for 100K and people would pay that.
Yeah. Well, maybe because he was really upset about, I think, like initially the hyperliquid referral percentage and all that stuff. And so that's, he went to Aster and now he's back to hyperliquid because he says it's the best product. I can't deny that or something like that. But let's see what happens with Bitcoin. I'd love to see Bitcoin give us a huge green candle to 110, 115, and maybe we'll no mas James Wynn.
No more James Wynn. All right. Bank of England plans temporary limits on stablecoin holdings. A cap of 20K or $26,000, $26K, 20K euro or pound or whatever their currency is. Cap for individuals and 10 million for businesses, aiming to prevent deposit flight as UK integrates digital money. They fear that if millions move their savings from banks into stablecoins, banks could lose deposits, hurt lending, and risk financial instability. What do you think about this here? Like, Yagobi, you can't hold more than 26,000 in stables.
Well, I would probably not live there anyways because I feel like that they're one of the big, I guess,
CBDCs.
Yes, CBDCs. They want to control it because of things like this too.
Mm-hmm.
And they see what's happening, I think, with the US. Like the USD1, is something that's growing as a brand. You have USDC.
Mm-hmm.
More than that, like you're seeing billions of dollars of stable coins come on chain. And so I'm sure that like the banking institutions over here are nervous about that, right? And there could be this like this kind of strategy right now to where it's like, the Fed doesn't like that. First, I don't think. I don't think the Fed likes that at all. They had to inject $290 billion into the banks 2 weekends ago. Is that part of kind of, maybe the beginnings of something that, they're nervous about all these stable coins, taking dollars out of the banking system? So it's interesting because a lot of this stuff is not going to go to mainstream media over here, because then it would scare the public and create like even more market turmoil probably. But there could be something like that that's happening right now with stable coins, with cash leaving the banking system and coming on chain, and the UK is nervous about that happening over there.
Yeah, 100%. And like I was talking to ChatGPT about this, and I asked about like self custody wallets, and it said the Bank of England cannot limit self custody wallets directly. Caps apply to issuers and payment apps. You can still hold freely, but regulated on ramps may block minting, redeeming, or spending above a limit. So they're basically saying, if you connect your wallet to one of these like KYC, Coinbase, something, blah 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 blah, and your wallet has like 26, they can stop your wallet from being used, right? And then you would have to go on DeFi and convert it to ETH. So it's just like, there's ways around it. You can just convert that stable into a crypto and send that crypto to the exchange. So it's just like, I feel like they don't understand crypto fully, and they can't do anything about non-custodian wallets except ban non-custodian wallets and force everyone to hold their crypto in England on the exchanges. But all that's going to do is that's just going to make England kind of fall behind, right? That's going to push them years and years behind the US when it comes to structure and potential use case of crypto, and crypto becoming something bigger than it is today.
Not just the US, the world, because there's other countries, like
True.
Singapore and countries like I don't know. I know that the Eastern European countries are on board with digital assets too. This is actually a good opportunity for that group of countries to kind of start to flip a little bit of the Western European countries, because the Eastern European countries have always looked as kind of like the poor countries in Europe, because they're part of the previous USSR and all that stuff, but they're very pro crypto and digital assets. And so the Western side, they're connected to the IMF and WEF and stuff, so they've been very resistant of it. Now lately they have basically kind of said, okay, if we keep having this approach, then we're just going to get far behind. So they're opening up to it. But England is kind of weird because it's like in its own sector, even though they are heavily involved with IMF and stuff like that too. We're gonna see what happens here, man, with them, and then also these countries that are gonna take advantage of opportunities. It's a great opportunity, and I think in the next 20 years, I think Latin America is gonna do it. I think some of these Eastern European countries, Africa, and some of the maybe poor Southeast Asian countries have an opportunity as well.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see that. I would love to see, these CBDC countries kind of fall behind and far behind, almost into, a third world country. How great and crazy would that be if, 100 years from now, England is a third world country? I mean, it possibly could be, honestly. So
yeah.
All right. So MEGAETH sale participants who publicly discuss OTC deals or hedging plans on X will be disqualified, lose their allocation, and receive a full refund. So we do know that people, with the MEGAETH, you can get an airdrop if you send the ETH to the account. You're getting a larger airdrop, and now they're coming out and they're basically saying, hey, what's his name? ICO Beast, who was the first person to actually come out and say this, they said, on a separate note, I don't think ICO Beast is an evil person, and the reaction is overblown. Not great streak of tweets, though, to be honest. And they're basically coming out and saying there was a bunch of people. Gabriel, the guy with his shirt off all the time, he has a machete.
Yeah.
He came out and said, like, I got $1 million in allocation, but I'm so afraid that once it goes live, it's going to be like 10 grand. And he's like, how can I hedge this? And they're talking about that publicly. And now they're saying, hey, we'll just refund you your tokens and just not give you any. How do you feel about that? And it's basically on the timeline, right? They're not coming out. Like, this is just on X right now. The sale was 28x oversubscribed, they said. So they'll just, give it to the next person if they keep doing this.
If they keep doing it, then sure. I think that's fair. But if they're gonna like axe them after one without a warning, I think that's not fair. So, if Gabriel and ICOB sound, I don't really like him. But anyways, if they both were kind of, not given a warning and they did that, then they should have say, okay, no more, I won't do it again.
Well, yeah, I just saw this first time right now. They said, in case it's not clear, ICO Beast will be receiving a refund, and the allocation will be distributed to other sellers. So they've already nixed his
wow.
tokens.
Well, that's crazy.
And then Gabriel, there it is right here. He said, "No, hello," for year over year, because apparently your tokens were locked anyway. So that's what they were saying. So he's just like, he's all pissed off about this. So ICO Beast died for our sins, he said. But yeah, Gabriel's hilarious. You guys don't follow him, definitely give him a follow at Gabriel Haynes. But yeah, all right, let's move along. Zap says no gas friction. We cover network fees, so you don't have to. So we don't know exactly what Zap is. From my understanding, it's going to be a Tinder meme coin app where you swipe right to buy,
your
you swipe left to
understanding.
sell. That's what I got. My understanding, it's a Tinder for meme coins. You can swipe right to go on a date with them, or swipe left to say you're ugly, and then just move along to the next meme coin. I don't know what Leonidas. This is Or.io's old X account. That Or.io has a new X account, but this was the original Or.io. And they're coming out and they're saying this is going to launch potentially tomorrow. I wasn't able to listen to the Ordinal show today, so I don't know any more details about that. But from my understanding, this is going to launch this week. They're trying to beat Spark to the punch here. And what this is, again, from my understanding, and this might not be 100% true, is going to be a Solana DApp, where you can it's all mobile. You'll download that DApp, and you're going to have these these pools, whether it's from Beyond or Rune Mine, right, wherever they choose to do these pools to, and you'll be able to, in a fast-paced Solana way, buy brand new Launchpad coins. You'll be able to get these Launchpad coins, and it'll be like a Launchpad type of model, and all that stuff. But how do you feel about Zap? And they're saying they're going to cover all the Solana gas fees of 2 cents. Look that up.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what it's going to be. I think that Leonidas is a smart guy. I think he has probably put a ton of thought and effort into this. They actually had a product that they scrapped because they felt like it wasn't up to par, and now they have Zap, right? So to me, I'm getting bullish on Zap just because of the things I just mentioned, right? You got the good leadership behind it. Will he get the Solana degens on board? Not right away, I don't think. There are some people that are in the Rune space that do have some Solana, ties and networks. I think Farmer Joe does, and those type of people. I think it's going to be more of the Bitcoin community supporting it initially, but then maybe getting some support from some of the Solana infrastructure people, like maybe Tolly gives some support to it, like the founder. Maybe someone, maybe Ansem tweets about it, because he was also, some of these people, they did dabble in Runes. Now some of them got burnt big time from Runes. But what this will do is, will give people something new in a ecosystem that needs something new. Because as of right now, I'll tell you, yes, the volume is probably the highest in compared to other chains, but they're the same people that are trading on Solana with a small group of retail. And I guess that's where all the money is concentrated too. And people don't realize, but there's teams that are propping these tokens up over there too. So there's almost a sense of, okay, which teams have the most liquidity right now? And Solana still has that. And I think that's why they can still kind of generate these volumes on Pump Fund and stuff. But a lot of them are the same KOL traders that end up dumping on each other. And you can actually see it now on Axiom as they you don't even have to put wallet addresses in there on the charts. They're just there. So something like Zap could be a breath of fresh air and say, hey, look, you want to be in something that people hold for a bit? You know, you might have to get into like a $6 million market cap, but it could go to 30, you know, in a span of 2 weeks if this works well, right? So
Yeah, I feel like he's just creating Odin on Solana. I mean, we've seen this before. We saw the RuneMine guys create, you know, a Rune launch pad on Near, and it failed
different
dramatically. Right? It was
ecosystem.
just,
So
I get it, but at the same time, they were trying to lure Bitcoin people there. That's why you go the Rune route, and they didn't come. So this is somewhat different. This is Leonidas. You know, he is like a great marketer and influencer, and he's gonna want it to feel like it's not on Solana. So basically, I'm thinking he's gonna do is, you know, it's just gonna be this app. You're gonna, you know, deposit from your Apple card or from your credit card or wherever, and it's gonna show up as Bitcoin, right? It's gonna be like wrapped Bitcoin, and then that's how you're gonna be able to do everything on the DApp. But how do you feel if it's just a DApp? I'm guessing you can still take the contract and you can take it over to, you know, a normal area, and then it's just going to be the same as Solana trading, right?
Yeah, that's why the marketing, I think, is going to be very, very important.
Yeah,
Leonidas is peak ordinals. Leonidas was in Trevor and Jan kind of, you know, was part of that, but Leonidas really was the head, you know, spearing that. They were getting about 2,000 to 4,000 people in their spaces, you know, and listening in and things like that. So he has the ability. Obviously, ordinals and Bitcoin has slowed down, so has his spaces, but he's consistent and he continually gains more and more followers. And we know Leonidas. We've got to know him because we've been in the space for a while. And I could honestly say that I think Leonidas, from everything I know, I think he's a good guy. I mean, you know, I haven't eaten food with the dude or anything like that, but we've had him on the show multiple times. We know people that we think are really good people that have been close friends with him for a while. And so I think he has an opportunity if the marketing can really hit, right? And he's going to have to get that part right, because the Solana degens, man, they're, first of all, a lot of them left. The ones that are there are very much committed to, one, losing money to these KOLs, or two, making money from deploying coins, right? So they could bring in some of the people that have gotten hurt from Pump Fund as retail traders and onboard them there. I just don't know how they can, you know, people still have their X accounts, even if they're taking time off. So maybe they see something new, like, oh, it's on Solana. Okay, let's check it out.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can onboard Solana users. Obviously, they're going to onboard, you know, the it's so hard because a lot of the Runes guys are L1 maxis, right? They're so afraid to leave L1 for any reason, and now you're asking them to do it.
I feel like not anymore. I feel like there's still some that are gonna be like that, and they will always be like that. But I feel like some have gotten beaten up so much, and to where they feel like they're helpless, to where they're like, hey, look, I mean, we gotta look at something else. We gotta try something else. There's no, you know, people don't like to trade fungible tokens on layer one because they're like, it's trading NFTs basically, you know. And
100%.
I mean, the crazy thing is literally like trading in ordinals. I mean, BRC20s was actually harder because you had to do the inscription thing. But the psychology behind that just blows my mind. That, like, we were like, oh no, these are fungible tokens, so that's why. And then people are like, yeah, I want more. And then like these market caps are going to like $1 billion with the Ordi and stuff, right? But it's literally the same concept of trading ordinals, except for you don't look at the picture. It's just like, how many do I want? You know what I mean? And so, anyways, but I'm excited to see what he has here. I mean, the guy's been just grinding. It's kind of like us, right? Like, you know, people might be like, oh man, those guys are still, you know, doing a show in the bear market. It's so slow and stuff. Leonidas is very similar in terms of, hey, he still shows up. He still shows up. He still does a space. It's for the dog community. He works hard for it. So I like to see what this product is like.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess my last question on this is, Leonidas is somebody who could disappear tomorrow, and we would never know, right? It does feel like his product is going to be centralized. Does that worry you at all? The fact that he is not doxxed and could disappear tomorrow, and you would never know. He could walk up next to you at an event, shake your hand, and you have no idea that that's Leonidas.
Kind of, because I just don't like that. Like our
I
industry
know.
is so much about anon and this and that. But I mean, what can you do, right? Like I like the guy. I've talked to him. We've had conversations with him on the show. We've asked him many questions. That's just probably something that he's not gonna change, I don't think, at this point. I mean, he's so far deep into this, like, maybe he
Yeah.
goes and rides that account off in the sunset, and all of a sudden there's this new guy named, I don't know.
Leonard.
Yeah, there you go. Leonard. No,
Yeah, that'd be funny. All right. USDT issuer Tether spent 100 million in advertising on Rumble. They're going hard in this Rumble thing. They want Rumble to be the next YouTube in the sense of crypto content, gaming content, and stuff like that. So every single Rumble account will now have a wallet, very similar to how Telegram has a wallet now. I don't know if you noticed that. I actually signed up for it. But it'll automatically be active to your account, and now you'll be able to take tips in Tether. You'll be able to send Tether to other people, all through your Rumble account. And by doing this, they're going to be advertising this on Rumble to everybody. But this is going to be huge in the sense of USDT basically having their own platform. They invested in Rumble as well, so they are part owners of the company.
yeah, I mean, I love this. I think that we're on Rumble, right? And
Yeah.
the Rumble platform, I think it's growing, pretty at a good rate, right? But this is going to help a lot. And I think,
Yeah.
Creators that are interested in getting on there, this could really, maybe give them that extra push maybe and say, hey, look, I mean, Tether's on there is the easy way to get tips or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. All right. Let's get into the crypto price action and Bitcoin bubbles. Wait, no, Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. This is always fun every day. I'm actually excited to kind of see where you think Bitcoin will go today and the rest of this week, sitting at 105, 127.
Absolutely. And before we get into the price action, help us out, guys, on the YouTube side. Smash that like for us and subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. And on the X side, let's share the space as much as possible, right? So, and everywhere else we're streaming. We're streaming everywhere, even on Pump Fun now. So, welcome for that community. And then also, Rumble, Kick, all those great areas. We appreciate you guys because you guys always help us out. Anyways, let's take a look here at the Bitcoin hour chart. I'm going to bring it up and let's see what's happening here. Let's see if we can get some James Wynn liquidations going here. On the hour chart, you can see here, we did have this nice rise up going to the end of Sunday, and it's been kind of sideways since then, right? And then we did have that dump coming this early this morning. That happened right, I would say 30 minutes before the actual bell rang for the those trading institutions. But now we're starting to have this kind of ascension really start. We'll see if we get aggressive here. The MACD is definitely letting us think that it wants to have a continued sell-off here, but it's not really reflecting necessarily aggressively in the price, right? So this is something that could start to break down if we do maintain kind of staying around this 105.2 to and it got as high as 106.6. So we are down about $1,400 for Bitcoin, right? But like I said, it does look like there's a trend here now, starting for the second kind of hourly candle. Now let's see what happens here. If we finish this hour here, which in 1 minute there's going to be a new candle here, and we kind of have a little bit of an uptrend, but then it comes down again, then obviously we're just going to be kind of coming down kind of the second part of this symmetrical pattern that could be forming here. I don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see what the rest of today has for us. Let's take a look here at support and resistance in this area going back to 5 a.m. Central Time, right here at the 105.2. yeah, the resistance is dominating right here. Above is a bit more balanced out, and then above that, resistance a little bit. But I'm not super worried. There is low volume in these areas, so this could be a situation to where we can maintain some larger buy bids, kind of maintain us and push us up into this area. But if you look right here, it is totally dominated, at least in the top part. So like the 105, 800, 700, 600 by the resistance. Again, extremely low, thin volume here. So, we get some aggressive bids, then we could, work our way back up here, which is where we're getting beat though, and that's the 105 900 area. This is the highest volume area of everything, and we are getting beat there. So look, it's more, I think here where we are right now is more about taking the punches for the next, I think, 2 to 4 hours. If we can maintain that and just hang around the 105 to 102 area, so some of this momentum can flip over, then we can start to see this break down and maybe go into buy pressure. Other than that, if we lose that control of this area right here and we flow down a bit more, it could look nasty down here in this area, because it is a bit lopsided down here. But I think we're okay. I know this looks bad, but I think it looks worse than it possibly is. So let's give it a 2 hours to 2 to 4 hours to kind of see where we end up here, and then we'll get a better view of how the second half of today will be, along with possibly the first part of this week. On the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin, let's take a look here. Bitcoin on the 4-hour, we are in this extended buy pressure session. Do we continue or do we close it out? That is the question, right? If we can't hold the 105.2 on the 1 hour and we break down and we go below 105, then this could start to close up, the buy pressure session here. That wouldn't necessarily be great for tomorrow and Wednesday, just because the 4-hour does give you a 2-3 day kind of forecast there. But like I said, the second half of today is important. So let's give it a couple hours, because as of right now, we're okay on the 4-hour. We're kind of going loopy up and down around the overbought territory. But this could definitely stay open, and have a continuation here. How much longer? That depends, right? Depends on how the second half of today goes, because I think the second half of today is really going to give us kind of clear view of, possibly up until Wednesday. So that's the 4-hour for Bitcoin. Let's take a look here at the daily. So the daily chart had me pretty bullish, yesterday and this morning. I mean, look, if you take a look here, the setup is actually not bad. You can see here, it looks like, it wants to come out of the sell pressure on the daily. The daily is going to be a very strong time frame, in my opinion, because you get to be zoomed out a bit, right? And you see this blue fast line really curling up here. It wants to officially touch and cross over that orange line, which will give you a technical flip from sell pressure to buy pressure. We would start some green candles on the MACD. The stochastics also looks pretty good. I mean, it looks getting away from oversold. Looks like it wants to head to the overbought territory. But we're in kind of this purgatory right now, right? A little bit better than purgatory, I would say, but it can flip back open, any moment. We know that with Bitcoin. If it wants to stay volatile, this could open back up. The fast line could open back up. We could have a continuation in sell pressure. But as of right now, if I were to say, where does it want to go? It wants to flip back over to buy pressure on the daily chart, from what I'm seeing with these indicators. But the test isn't always easy, right? And that's why it's a test. And that's why I feel like, we need to get a little bit, we need today to play out. And if we get some aggressive push up, this could close up. It really could close up on the daily. That would make me feel very, very good about, Tuesday and Wednesday. But let's see what happens for the rest of today for Bitcoin. I do want to check the weekly, because that is something, I think it was Benji that was giving me a heads up. So it is what is this? The 50 week SMA. So anytime we close below this and we start a trend below this, we technically go into a bear market, right? And I've brought this up. So last week I was a little bit kind of concerned, just because there was a part of the candle was below it, and then look at that, voila, we finished the week above it. That's interesting. It's amazing, isn't it? And then now we're starting the week green. I can't imagine that this candle is going to finish under here. So that's kind of making me feel pretty good. You know what I mean? Because if it does finish under here and then we get the candle actually finishes under here, that's not good, because you're talking about going back last time that happened was December 2021. And I brought that up every single time I look at this because, and then the last time it happened too was like 2018. So both times were the starts to the bear market, right? So I don't see that happen. I don't see the bear market starting, right now, but who knows? Anyways, so that's what I'm looking at. I think we're safe here, and I think that we have a good opportunity to bounce up here. Now we are looking kind of not so great right here on this momentum indicator for the weekly. So what I would like to see is at least this turn white, just turn white, and maybe give us some momentum to the upside, because these are weekly candles too. So I don't expect it to shrink necessarily, because that means that we're probably back to like 130 if it shrunk a little bit to finish this week. But yeah, I think we're okay right now. This is something to pay attention to. How do we finish this week? Because I would love for us to have a green candle, and most times when we touch it, look at that, bam, look at that, bam, right? So hopefully we get something like that. But that is Bitcoin for you guys. I know I went a little bit further into Bitcoin. Ethereum, very same situation. It seems like it has been trying to kind of do its own thing a little bit. You see on the hour chart, it is starting to break down. So that's a good thing. We've been down here for a while, so we could start to see a reversal come up here, especially if Bitcoin does want to play into that game, which we're at 105,500, so that's really good for Bitcoin. And then with Ethereum too, starting to really bounce back. So this is really good signs, but very, we need the second half of today to really get that confirmation. So Ethereum looks pretty good on the 1 hour. Really waiting on the rest of the market, I think. The 4 hour for ETH looks a little bit more closey than Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin needs to make an aggressive move up really for Ethereum to kind of open back up on the 4 hour chart. If we take a look here on the daily is very comparable to Bitcoin. Wants to close up, wants to start that buy pressure again. So both are in a very similar situation. Ethereum just looks a little bit different in a couple of the time frames, but it's really going to be dependent upon, hey, can Bitcoin get an aggressive move to the upside? And then I think Ethereum will follow suit. And if Bitcoin gets really aggressive, then Ethereum can kind of decide, hey, do I want to kind of go off on my own here, or am I going to just kind of follow Bitcoin with this move up? So something to keep your eyes on as well. Let's take a look here at the crypto bubbles. You got WillFi. Man, that's a big jump up there, 25.1% with a increase there. The Trump token up almost 15%. I don't know if this has to do with the government opening or partnerships or what, but definitely thriving there. You got the pump token up about 10% there. So the pump token's been looking pretty decent, like in terms of when the market wants to look a little green. It's around that, I would say 10% almost every time it wants to jump up there. So that's pretty good. XRP, 10%. It's a lot for XRP. So about 9%, 9.4% there with that rise up for XRP. So shout out to you crazies out there. And then you got Pengu up 4% here. Starknet up 23.1%. Zcash with a pullback of almost 7%, sitting at 591. So the people that bought in September, you're still looking very good. And people that held from before that looking even better. People that bought the top, sorry for you guys. All right, so where are we? XMR. So privacy seems to be kind of pulling back together right now, right? So you got 7.1 pullback there with XMR. Story Protocol pulling back 7.1%. Dash, another one right there, 10.1%. So it seems like privacy maybe just pulling back a little bit. I don't think it's the end of that meta, but maybe people just taking profits there. Filecoin pulling back 6.17%. This was a dinosaur token that you had your eyes on as well. That this makes sense. People taking profit from it being green. ICP was also green last week, and for a good minute, it's pulled back about 8% there. Crow, Crypto.com up 3.6%. Bonk up 1%. Hex up 2% there. Aave up 3.7%. Let's take a look at the top 200 here. AIA down 57%. Whoa, that's a lot, dude. I know it has been
It was up like 200% though.
I was gonna say it was on a crazy run for a good minute, but it's just crazy to see. Like, I feel like it's more impactful to see the numbers in red, obviously, it's like crazy to see that. Zen, not the Zen that you guys are thinking of, but ZEN down 18.9% there. You got mixed perps dex. This is one that doesn't get too much shine. It's on BSC. It's down, or it's up 7.5%. ZBCN up 10%. This is a part of some project that's related to Solana. Zora is down 3.3%. The social media based project there. ApeCoin is down 3%. Merl is down 3.3%. By the way, we're not going to have Jeff on today. He got sick, so we're going to get him next week though. So we'll get some good updates next week from him. FTT down 2.1%, 7%. I don't know who's buying this. ZK down 1.4%, and that is pretty much Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alt market for you guys.
All right. Yeah, man, great job as always on that. Really interesting to kind of see what is happening, in live data. I think you're getting a lot better at it, dude. Yeah, 100%. It's actually really good. I watch a lot of TA stuff, and I always struggle trying to get it, but I definitely get the way you do it for sure. All right. Let's kind of get into the roll call here on the show. We do a thing called First is First, and we had the first comment of the day. I almost put January. 10th. 25. All right, the first comment of the day. Let's find it. Is Chief Axel. Congratulations to you, my friend. I think you're doing really well. You have win number 5, dude. Congratulations to you, my friend. I was thinking next year, because we're getting to the end here, we do a thing where we do a raffle, and every day that you win, you get more raffles instead of just having a competition. So where if you get one, potentially you still have a small chance at getting it. But if you get it every single day, you have more and more chances. How do you like that idea of potentially doing it next year?
Yeah, I think that could work pretty decent. It'd definitely be more encouraging, right?
Yeah, for sure. But it does look like WebDro is, as long as Lucky Luke doesn't come out, Lucky Luke has, I think, he's right there with him. Lucky Luke hasn't won in a while. It looks like 48. So it does look like WebDro is going to win the frog if this continues the way it is. So congratulations. But next year, what we'll do is we'll still do the same thing. So if you have 18 entries, we'll put your name on the wheel 18 times. Right. So if you win 50 days, you'll have your name on the wheel 50 times. So you'll have a good chance of still winning. So it will be encouraging to still win every day. So that's something I was just thinking. We can talk about it later as well. But all right. Let's kind of get into the rest of the comments here. Arita says, hello. Arita, my guy. Appreciate you, my friend. WebDro is here. ASAP Benji is here. Bitcoin is truth. Abstract Chief Axel, Spindrift, and Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who created Bitcoin, watches our show every single day. Chips and Dip is here. Justin is here. He said, when's Zap? It does look like it's going to be this week. So we'll have more details. I'm going to go back and listen to the Ordinal show and listen to Leonidas kind of speak on that. Hydra Sapien said, I made it. What's happening? We are going to the Moon Bros. I really hope so, dude. I need some bullishness in my life. Superfan is here. Shout out to Superfan. Lackey Lukey, my guy. Appreciate you. Cheaty, what's up, buddy? Miss you, Cheaty. You and your blue suit, man. I miss seeing your PFP here. Finishing off with WebDro Green Weeks. Appreciate you, WebDro. WebDro, I'd love to know your opinion on that, since you're potentially going to win this. Potentially next year, just doing a raffle where every day you win, you actually get one more name on the wheel. But yeah, man. All right, and that is the end of the crypto bubbles. I hope I didn't jinx WebDro, and now someone else comes out of nowhere and beats him.
How much of a lead does he have?
Over 7.
Okay.
So it's going to be tight. I mean, we only have about 25 days left in the year that we're live.
Yeah. So. Talk about consistency, man. That is consistency,
man, all year
for sure.
And it's funny. I'm gonna actually create a chart when it's all over and kind of see where everyone kind of was on the chart. Should be pretty fun. All right. So every single Monday we usually have the great Jeff join the show, but today we're just gonna go over some news stuff. So huge news over the weekend. Merlin Chain's upgrade is now live, boosting ZK infrastructure, sequencer, and validator performance to support Bitcoin ZK verification. I talked to Jeff yesterday. He was talking about BitVM is going to be the way they're going to be doing this. So eventually down the line, with this new upgrade, you'll be able to, when you do make a trade, potentially roll that up and land it on Bitcoin for finalization or finality. What do you think about Merlin Chain actually maybe even competing with Arch in this way of using BitVM and the EVM approach, very similar to how the guys over at what's that one place? Middle is doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. It would be absolutely great. I don't think they need it because I think that Jeff has, developed a really strong kind of almost leadership of like the BTC Fi space with Merlin, right? And they're definitely a leader in that space. But I think it would add to it, right? It's kind of like, hey, look, we're also one of the first chains to start regularly, doing verification transactions on Bitcoin from our Merlin chain, right? So everything that you do here can be verified on Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So I just think it would add to the success that they have. So from a technical standpoint, I think it'd be more like to satisfy, I guess, the people that are into kind of scaling Bitcoin. Like, how can we use Bitcoin in different ways? Can it be scaled? Can you actually do ZK rollups and all these things? And then Jeff and Merlin Chain say, yeah, we actually do it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think they compete with Middle now? Potentially being, I mean, they were the first Bitcoin L2. Technically, you could say Core was, but they're the first ones to
Oh,
take ordinals and runes and all that stuff over there.
okay. So when you're talking about like bridging over and stuff like that, yeah. Because I was going to say Stacks has been around for a minute, but I don't think they did. Well, they did do those BRC20s.
Yeah, you're right.
Those BRC20s, but I just felt like the marketing behind Stacks was not great and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they got a ton of attention back in February of 2024. With it was 90%. No, I'd say 95% Bitcoin assets and then Bitcoin together, and then the rest 5% was maybe like the ETH assets, right? So Merlin's a big part of that, pioneering that journey of trying to scale Bitcoin assets. I mean, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
There's other things too that, BRC 420 also being a contributor to help with the runestone stuff, right? So I mean, Jeff has his hands on a lot of different parts of that on-chain economy from Bitcoin in 2023 that got extended to where he is now at Merlin Chain. So yeah, I think this would be big in that sense. It's kind of like, hey, look, we didn't just talk about it, we did it.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Jeff, shout out to Merlin Chain. I think, with the Merl token and the strength of the Merl token, let's talk about that for a second. So the Merl token has something that has been so consistently strong. It did have a little bit of a pullback over the last couple of days, but it's just been something that's just been floating around, 34 cents to about 44 cents. Which is really amazing for a token that was just 7 cents in July. This thing has been so strong. We did have some, look at this pull up back from September 21st. I mean, this thing has been absolutely insane. And then now just sideways. But we do know the Merl token is being adopted in the East right now. It is being seen as something where you can potentially safely keep holding this thing, because we do know this thing didn't have a 10-10 crash like everything else does, because Jeff, the way they do their market making is very in-house.
Yeah, for sure. And that, I think that's probably something that not a lot of people are thinking about in terms of the East perception of Merlin right now. In 2024 February, like there was just, it was such a big event, and I think there were so many people that just expected like constantly just always up everything, and it was not even like, I didn't expect this year to be not great either, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't the bull market year in 2024 for sure. And so I think through all the hardships and resilience and stuff that him and his team went through, like they got to a point to where, they can be like a Merlin, the token could be looked at as like a strong token like Tron, or a strong token. BNB is obviously like pretty far ahead, but like it can be looked at as strong in similar ways, right? Eventually, as they continually add strength to it, and I think he will, because I think the hardest part of being able to get through, like have token strength, is the volatility that you go through from how your pre-seed investors and stuff react to that, and then market makers. Do you have good market makers? And I think the first part, he's through all that turmoil in terms of pre-seed investors. He's gone through all that, right? So he's good there. The market maker seems like he has a solid team that is market making for him. So this is also just kind of speculation, right? This is from what we see from outside looking in, but from our knowledge that we've built up of how the industry works, that's what we see.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out to Jeff, man. Can't wait to have him on the show. I was actually hoping to talk to him about more of this update because he was telling me about it yesterday, and it seems really, really interesting. But we can talk about it next week for sure. All right, let's jump into some news from the trenches. So, what has been going on over there? There has been some actual runners. I mean, the South Park coin backed up to 6 million now and having a little bit of a dip today. And there's this new one you were actually telling me about. I'd love for you to potentially get into that.
Yeah. So over the weekend, I think on Friday, there was a new X account that was called Bangers. And it was obviously created by the X team. And the assumption was that there's going to be like memes and like really good content that's going to be flowing through this account. And instantly, Pump Fund just creates it's coin for every little thing. Yagobi farted. Okay, there's like 10 of those now, right? So it's just like that's what happened with this. And then man, it like picked up tons of volume. The deployers, see, this is where I feel like the mass deploying and stuff like that can really it can be unhealthy. I mean, it is unhealthy, but it's like a lot of people were not excited about who deployed it, right? Because he just had so many and so many went to zero. But this was such a big narrative, that they just like it just kept pumping and pumping, and it got to like I want to say almost 4 million, 3.5 million the first day, and then it pulled back pretty dramatically to like 1 million, something like that, 1.2 million. But like you could tell it was just going, like all they had to do was tweet again, and that's what they did yesterday. So instantly it jumped to 5 million. So now there's these two coins are the most recent ones that have potential to be like the next big runner. You have the South Park one, and now you have Bangers, right? And so Bangers is sitting at 3.7 million now. So that's a part of it, man. It's like 3.7 million right now. Like, should it be higher? I think so, because like this is pretty significant in what this Bangers account's going to be doing. It's going to be about memes, right? But it seems to have trouble to sustain every time it has a pop up, and could be the deployer. Now, to be honest with you, it could be, or someone that got in early, right? The South Park one seems to be more resilient, that is for sure. But the two things I will say though, or the one thing I'll say about both of those coins is this is also how that liquidity has been kind of just taken out from a lot of these people. Okay, so it's about 4 million. Okay, it's about the same. Is that these two coins should be easily 30 million to 50 million dollar coins. Like I think South Park would have been a quick $100 million one, and maybe it would have pulled back because it is a brand. It's a brand, right? Sometimes that happens where like GameStop went really high and then it pulled back, or there's a big brand that just has some big announcement and it goes really high and it pulls back. But it didn't even get, it got the highest it got was 7 million, right? There's a lack of liquidity in the trenches, and there's a lack of liquidity in players, and that goes for whales and every size of player. Who is still there? You have some retail, in my opinion, that's getting wrecked like a lot. Then you have your KOL groups that all work, in my opinion, for some sort of way through Pump Fund. They all partner with Padre at the same time, like one day after the next. They all partner, and that's the same group of, I would say, 100 to 1,000. And there's some KOLs that are like outside of them that kind of like are similar mentality and probably are in the same chat groups and stuff. So those are the same 800 to 1,000 people that are trading, I think, in the Pump Fund ecosystem. But there's enough. Some of these groups have enough liquidity to pump some of these tokens to make it seem like volume and stuff is good. But you can tell by the fact that like the South Park coin is only at 3.8 million and the Bangers coin is only at 3.7 million, that a lot of that liquidity is gone. They don't have nearly as much as they had before.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you think the South Park coin has enough momentum to kind of push up Do you think, like, obviously, you know, the trenches are broke. Everyone in the trenches is pretty hurting right now. Do you think this is something that could potentially go sideways here for November and have a good December? Or do you think that, like, it's just hard for me to say meme coins last more than 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the bangers coin, there was a guy that, you know, I guess you consider him KOL now. He was like trying to really brag about the fact that he had conviction with his hold, and he was like, I held a whole 24 hours. And so look how much conviction I have. And everybody just started trolling him and be like, you know, the space is cooked if you think that's like conviction is holding 24 hours. Now, to his point, he did drop like $68,000 into the coin. That's more of
Okay.
what he should have probably highlighted. You know what I mean? Instead of the 24-hour hold. But, you know, like holding 24 hours for 68,000, I think that is conviction too, though. Because, you know what I mean? Like, especially with
Yeah.
the way the space is. But it does go to show the mentality of the space. And I was telling you pre-show when we were getting ready, you know, that look, this creator reward system before the big bloody, you know, October 10th was already kind of causing problems in because you started to psychologically change the way the game was played. You know, these creators, they don't care if there's sustainability on the coins. They're so programmed and they're making money, and that's why they're programmed to do this. It's like the guy that created Bangers coin, like this thing was running hard. He didn't even pay attention to it because he deployed 3 coins right after that. Like in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm like, okay, that's probably a bot maybe or something that he's using that's auto doing these, but like he's getting lots of rewards right now from the Bangers coin, right? Why wouldn't he not focus on that mostly, you know? But it's because they're just so programmed to be able to make as much as like, you know, they can for deploying new coins, and then, you know, whatever it's the next coin, they just want to hit a next big one. And then they just go to the next thing. And so that has trained the deployers to not really care about the coins really much. And then also it's trained some of these whales that used to come in and top blast because they could send a coin from like 300K to like 1.5 million if a couple of them went in there and top blasted. That's not happening no more because there's the psychological part is when they were trying to do that, it would get eaten up right away. And then because people are just trying to take their money right away and onto the next coin. So now you move some of these powerful wells out of the game entirely. The small and medium retail groups already getting bloodied and beat up like to hell. So you now eliminated that by a third. You know, so who do you have left? You have a couple maybe wells that will top blast, but no, they have to get out quick too now. So they're just like killing the coin a lot now. So whenever they top blast from like 200K to like 600K, and then everybody else follows them underneath because they're FOMOing, they get out at like 750, 800. They made their, you know, whatever they made. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so that's kind of the state of the trenches right now. I mean, this is not to like, you know, I'm just telling it how I see it. And that's how I see it.
Yeah, 100%. And take a look at this, dude. Look how similar these charts are. So this is the South Park Sucks Now chart. Obviously up, you know, sideways, and then huge candle up, and then just sideways after that. Look at Bangers. I mean, they look very similar.
Don't they?
It's insane. It's insane how similar these two. It's almost like it's the same people.
And let me tell you something. The tools that people used before to say, okay, this coin is bundled and all that stuff is not safe. That right now is completely just thrown out the window because you can't get into a clean coin right now. I mean, when I say there's a couple that are there, but they all go to zero because there's no retail that's like rallying each other. Right. So the people that are in the top 20% of that coin or the top 10 holders that are holding 20% or 30% of that coin, they're so impatient because they know it's the next coin up mentality that if you get into what you think is a clean coin, they send it. The highest one that I've seen recently that was a clean coin, like from analytics data and stats, maybe 200K and then zero. and then it gets to zero. So those don't even like have any sustainability. So now you're almost looking for the ones that are more bundled, because you're like, okay, they're going to intentionally manipulate this up.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So the psychology is so ass backwards right now, because it's like there's no true organic like liquidity of players left. The other ones already lost their money, and then the other people that were halfway decent traders got liquidated on October 10th, and so there's no true money left. And I think some of the institutions got liquidated too. Like when I say institutions, I mean like I don't know about Pump Fund and that, but that's what I mean though. Like those, like the bonk. Nothing from Bonk has ran in a long time. You know what I mean? And so do they not have the bullets to push these tokens up anymore like maybe they did before?
You're right, dude. There hasn't been anything from Bonk. I don't even see Bonk on here anymore. Like, let's even just go to Solana and kind of get rid of the BNB stuff, and I don't see any Bonk. I see Meteora. I see Pump. I only see Pump. Like, is that the only place to trade right now?
No, so there was a Bonk token that launched yesterday that I actually thought it had some potential, but it was called Bonky, which is like a monkey, and it had the USD1 headband on and everything, and it like I think it like had no gas. It was just like there's no, the people that do have liquidity in the space right now, they're pouring into ones together, in my opinion, bangers, South Park, that are just like such good narratives that like you can't not, you know what I mean? Like there has to be some winners, and the big winners right now are staying around $2 to $4 million, which to me gives you a very clear state of the trenches at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, that was fun. And that definitely keep us up with this, because it seems really interesting. ZPay. What's ZPay? Sold for
I mean,
100 million. I mean, Pump, right?
yeah. I mean, I don't even know, man. Like
Good looking
those,
chart right there.
yeah, it looks better than the other ones, I kind of think. But yeah.
Yeah, man.
So that's why sometimes, the past week and a half, I said when a system works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. And I felt like the Solana system stopped working in the summer. With pump funds, and when Bonk took over, and then like kind of went back to pump, and I think that like the system is not working the same way, and so retail lost complete trust, and so there needs to be a passing of the torch of something to where retail can regain that trust. And that's why, I mean, if they can get FlashNet going consistently, I think Spark has an opportunity. Maybe Zaps has an opportunity with the Leonidas. Arch is also something, but I think it's going to be something outside of Solana for this next torch passing.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see. I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, do you think it's BNB? Because we did see a lot of Solana users go there and use 4.
I feel like it was very similar to like there was like euphoria for like 2 weeks, but the player style was very similar, right? And I mean, I don't know, maybe no, I do know that liquidity is obviously a big issue too. You know what I mean? So if the economy can get liquidity injections going again, that's what this space is, dude. This space is risk on. This space is risk on. 90% of the entire Web3 space is risk on. 10% isn't, and that's all blue chips with very few selected newer stuff that like is so dominant to where like hyper liquid, right? It's basically proven by market cap and revenue and stuff like that. So Merlin's trying to make its case for something like that as well, which I think they will. They have been a bit, right? And then there's other players that will be in that basket, but not many.
Yeah, for sure. Well, great show today, man. Absolutely amazing. Remember, we are on Pump Fund, so the people that are over there saying that is recorded, it is not recorded. So, but we're not doing anything with that token. We just want to stream over on Pump Fund. That's the reason why we did it over there. Thank for everyone on YouTube and X today. Very slow day when it came to news on the crypto stuff. So, really appreciate you guys hanging with us today and really kind of, hanging with us each and every day. A lot of you guys every single day. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Without you guys, we couldn't do this, and we're very appreciative of that. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would be really grateful for that. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or NFTs like Rare Pepes, you can use, in my opinion, you got to use Emblem Vault. They have the most experience. They've been doing this since 2021 when they were jumping Rare Pepes over to Ethereum. But right now, you can actually take a loan out against your Taproot Wizard, which is a Bitcoin ordinal. So if you want to bridge that or jump that over to the Gandhi application on Ethereum, they'll allow you to take a loan out against it. They're going to open this up to other layers and in environments, and Solana is one of those that they're going to open this up to. Speaking of Solana, Emblem has an amazing AI product over there, the best product in AI on Solana, which is agenthustle.ai. If you go to agenthustle.ai, you can actually use their free subscription level and just test it out. You can ask Hustle to bring you some winners on Solana, and he'll bring back a couple options and why he thinks they're solid options. There's also conditional trading engine built directly in Agent Hustle. So you can, set buy and limit orders on these meme coins and go do whatever you have to do, right? Make you feel comfortable while you're working out so you don't go to zero. You can just kind of hit your target there, those type of things, right? But also, not only on Solana is Hustle available, they're also available on Hedera Hashgraph. They partnered with the Hedera Foundation, and now they are the AI infrastructure tool and solution for the Hedera HBAR ecosystem. So, you have access to that as well. They are going to be extending to EVM environments as well. I know BSC is on the roadmap as well. So really, really exciting stuff. I think they have the opportunity to be a one-stop shop in terms of one wallet type of situation. So make sure you're over there and checking that out. They also have another product within their ecosystem called migrate.fund, and they are going through their second cohort right now. They finished their first cohort a month and a half ago, and it went really smooth, but they got brands like PayAI that is migrating, right? So if you launch the token on Pump Fund or Bonk.fund and you want to migrate to another launchpad, they help you get that liquidity out. Of course, your community needs to be on board with you for that, but they walk you through the process, right? And so you can either migrate to another launchpad or manage your own LPs there. And so, check it out. If you're interested, go to migrate.fund or emblem.vision, reach out to the team, tell them you want to, get information on how to get into the next available spot, and they'll walk you through it. So make sure you head over to migrate.fund to learn more about that. And then Emblem Vision will break down all the products that I just broke down for you myself, right? Just more in depth. So head over to emblem.vision. And then you have Merlin Chain. Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin's strength through the power of AI. They have their Wizard version 2.0 that can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem, but they also can swap for tokens outside the ecosystem like Solana and BSC. All you got to do is have some Merlin Chain Bitcoin in your wallet, and you can swap for those tokens. Also, the Wizard can do DeFi functionalities within the Merlin ecosystem like swapping and staking. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model that they use for their chain. You can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. Everybody loves that product. And for the first staking vault that closed September 30th, they got 17% APR for their stakers. Amazing APR for staking Bitcoin. And the second one opened up about 3 weeks ago, and it goes until January 8th. So you can go and participate in that. They're going to be shooting for around the same APR. So exciting stuff for that team. The minimum 8%, maximum 21% for the APR on that one. Like I said, it closes January 8th. So you need to get in now if you want to earn for the days that lead up to that. Oh, excuse me. And then the other 2 options for the proof of stake are the Merlin Chain token. They have the day-to-day, which is a flexible 15% APR that you earn. And you can actually claim those rewards daily, roll them up in a compound interest strategy, or just, sell them, keep them in your wallet, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But you earn 15% in that one. And then you have the bonded, which is a 6-month lockup period. You earn 45% with that one. Same thing. You can actually claim your rewards daily on that. You can decide whatever you want to do with that one as well. Head over to merlinchain.io to learn all about their ecosystem. And we appreciate you guys for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always. And if you guys have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like helping get started and code up to where we are today. This is actually a really good article. It's a 3 to 4 minute read. Q4 crypto sentiment outlook. Definitely want to be checking this out. So that is completely up to you. But we have a whole bunch of other ones as well. 3 to 4 minute reads, guys. Just check these all out, honestly. And then if you guys need a VPN, NordVPN, I highly recommend it. You can kind of just click that link there. It'll take it right here. If you lock it in for 2 years, you get an extra 3 months on top of just paying $2.99 instead of the $11.59. You don't do that. If you go to their site and you sign up, you're paying $10 a month. There's nothing you can do about it. If you go to our link, you're paying $2.99 a month. Lock it in for 2 years. It's the best deal out there. So why would you need a VPN? The main reason you would need a VPN is to use something like Hyperliquid, to use something like MEGAETH. These are two things that I use on a daily basis, especially MEGAETH. It's kind of my bridge, right? I bridge in and out of MEGAETH daily. If I want to go from Bitcoin to Solana, it's the cheapest place, honestly. I mean, there is some trust factors. You do have to trust them. But I've never had a problem. Never, ever had a problem with MEGAETH. So I use it every single day. So definitely check that out. And if you guys need merch, we're actually closing down our merch store here very, very soon. It is just not something that is been good. So you guys do not like our merch. No, I'm just kidding. But something we might bring back in the future through a different third party, maybe some better stuff. But your last chance to grab anything from this store if you are still interested. But we're going to be doing some other stuff. We have a potential deal for you guys with Ledger and stuff like that down the future that we're going to be doing as well. But definitely check out anything there if you want, and check out onchainrevolution.io. Really appreciate you guys. And remember, we are live Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 4 p.m. UTC. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go, Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.